Welcome back, focused learners. Today, we are unpacking a truly wild story. In this explainer, we're not just looking at stats or match scores. No, we are exploring the dramatic, highly animated characters, the visionaries, and the rebels who literally built the FIFA World Cup. I mean, from eccentric kings to a hero dog, the people behind this tournament are straight out of a movie.
Just think about this number for a second. 6 billion. That's over 60% of the entire planet tuning in to watch this game today. It's almost hard to wrap your head around. But what completely blows my mind is that this massive global phenomenon, it didn't start in some corporate boardroom. It started with one man's crazy idea, standing on the deck of a freezing ship crossing a wide gray ocean back in 1930.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, a crazy golden idea. Picture this. FIFA President Jules Rimet is making a grueling 2-week journey by ship all the way to Uruguay. He's clutching this small bag close to his chest, and inside, a golden trophy weighing less than 4 kilograms. He was carrying this incredibly visionary dream that football could be a universal language. You know, the idea that if nations played against each other, maybe they'd actually understand each other a little better. But the world wasn't quite ready for his optimism. It's 1930, the Great Depression just hit, and that long sea journey was brutal and expensive. Because of those immense hurdles, only 13 teams actually showed up. But man, those 13 teams brought us some of the most eccentric animated characters in sports history. Take Romania, for example. Their players were chosen personally by King Carol II. The king literally sat down, read through the list, and picked the squad himself. And then you have Lucien Laurent, this totally unknown 23-year-old French player who just steps up, volleys the ball into the net, and scores the first ever goal in World Cup history. Almost nobody remembers his name today, but that raw underdog energy, it was absolutely electric right from the start.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 2, Surviving War and Tragedy.
Just as the world was really getting hooked on this beautiful game, the momentum slammed into a brick wall. 1938 was the last pre-war tournament. In 1942 and 1946, the World Cup was entirely canceled because of the Second World War. Jules Rimet's dream of global unity was put on a tragic pause. Real-world events collided with the sport. Stadiums were transformed into military bases, and the players literally became soldiers. And during all this chaos, the physical trophy itself was in grave danger. Enter Ottorino Barassi, a FIFA vice president in Italy. When German forces occupied Rome, Barassi quietly snuck into the FIFA offices, wrapped the golden trophy in an old cloth, stuffed it inside an old shoebox, and hid it under his bed. For 3 long years, with a war raging right outside his window, he checked that shoebox every single night. Talk about suspense, just one man quietly guarding a golden dream under his bed. Because of people like him, the World Cup survived and finally returned in 1950, hosted by Brazil. And we got one of the most unbelievable upsets ever. Imagine the massive Maracanã Stadium, packed with 200,000 screaming Brazilian fans, fully expecting an easy win. But tiny Uruguay shocked everyone, beating Brazil 2-1. 200,000 people went dead silent. Decades later, Alcides Giguia, the guy who scored that winning goal, perfectly captured that staggering moment. He said, "Only 3 people have ever silenced the Maracanã: Frank Sinatra, the Pope, and me." It's just a fantastic reminder that the small can absolutely defeat the mighty.
Section 3, The Age of Icons.
Out of the shadows of war, the tournament started birthing these larger-than-life, incredibly animated heroes. And it starts with a teenager who would completely rewrite the sport forever. His name was Edson Arantes do Nascimento, but we all know him as Pelé. Growing up in extreme poverty, he was so obsessed with playing that he literally practiced using a grapefruit stuffed into a sock. By 1958, at just 17 years old, this highly emotional kid boarded a plane to Sweden and absolutely dazzled the world. He scores twice in the final, and when the whistle blows, he just collapses on the pitch in tears, having to be carried off by his teammates. He claimed the first of what will become a record 3 World Cup trophies. But, what happens when your superstar goes down? In 1962, Pelé gets injured early in the tournament. Most teams would just fold, right? But Brazil had this incredibly unique player named Manuel Francisco dos Santos, better known as Garrincha or the Little Bird. As a kid, his legs were severely deformed, one curved inward, the other outward. Doctors said he'd never even run properly. Yet he became this joyful, totally unstoppable dribbler who basically put the team on his back and carried Brazil to their 2nd consecutive glory.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how bizarre it gets. Just days before the 1966 tournament in London, the unimaginable happens. The Jules Rimet trophy is stolen. Poof, gone. The entire country, the police, ordinary citizens, everyone is desperately searching for it. So how exactly do you recover the most prized possession in sports under that kind of insane pressure?
Well, obviously, you leave it to Pickles the dog. I'm not kidding. A dog sniffing around a garden in South London literally finds the trophy wrapped in newspaper, tucked under a bush. Pickles became an instant national hero. He was on TV, he got fan mail, the whole shebang. It's an almost comical, highly animated story, but it proves once again that the World Cup, no matter what happens, always survives. Section 4. Drama, Cheats, and Heartbreak. Of course, the World Cup stage isn't just for heroes. It's hosted incredible villains, intense conflict, and real tragedy. Look no further than Diego Maradona in the 1986 quarterfinal against England. In just one single match, we see the complete intense duality of this character. On one hand, he scores a highly controversial goal by deliberately using his hand, the undetected hand of God. And then, literally just moments later, he produces the breathtaking goal of the century, practically dancing past 5 English players from the halfway line. It's the sheerest brilliance and the most blatant deception coexisting on the exact same pitch. And speaking of deception, check out Roberto Rojas in 1990. During a crucial qualifying match against Brazil, this Chilean goalkeeper sees a flare thrown onto the pitch. In the chaos, he drops to the ground and literally cuts himself with a blade he had secretly hidden in his glove. He faked a severe injury trying to get Brazil disqualified. It was this shocking, cinematic scheme, but a single photographer caught the whole act on camera. Rojas got a lifetime ban. But the most sobering heartbreak of all came in 1994. The Colombian national team was carrying the weight of their country, hoping to bring some light to a nation really struggling with cartel violence. Tragically, their captain, Andres Escobar, accidentally scored an own goal, which led to Colombia's elimination. After returning home, he was shot and killed outside a bar. While there are unconfirmed allegations tying his murder to cartels angry over lost bets, it remains a dark, tragic reminder of how deeply this sport intertwines with the intense, real-world struggles of the competing nations. And then we have the explosive character arc of Zinedine Zidane. In 1998, he is the ultimate national hero, scoring 2 goals in the final to win France their very first World Cup. But jump to 2006, and his story ends in dramatic infamy. In his final match, he scores this outrageously bold Panenka penalty, but then, provoked by an insult about his sister, he violently headbutts Marco Materazzi right in the chest. He walks past that gleaming golden trophy with a silver medal and a red card. It's just a dramatically human end to a legendary career. And this brilliantly illustrates our next shift, Section 5, Expanding the Beautiful Game. You see, the tournament eventually broke way beyond the borders of Europe and South America, and that brought an entirely new cast of animated heroes to the stage. Back in 1966, African teams were basically ignored when it came to guaranteed qualification spots, so they boldly boycotted the whole thing. They demanded a seat at the table. Fast forward to 2010, and South Africa is hosting the event, filling stadiums with the unforgettable chaotic roar of the Vuvuzela horn. And then in 2022, Morocco absolutely shatters the ceiling, knocking out football giants to become the first African team in history to reach the semifinals. The emotional peak of that 2022 run is perfectly captured by Achraf Hakimi. Born in Madrid, his mother cleaned houses in Spain just so he could have a better life. When Hakimi scored the winning penalty to literally knock Spain out of the tournament, he didn't do the regular celebrations. He ran straight into the stands and hugged his mom. It's this incredibly vivid, powerful image that proves the World Cup is so much more than a game. It's a mirror showing us profound human connection, struggle, and immense pride. So the crucial point is Section 6, the next chapter. Let's look at this massive number for 2026, 48. We are moving to a colossal 48-team format, co-hosted across 16 different cities in the US, Mexico, and Canada. That's more nations, more cultures, and entirely new character-driven stories ready to be written on the absolute biggest stage the world has ever constructed. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. We started with one guy on a freezing ship holding a trophy in a tiny bag. If Jules Rimet's crazy idea could survive world wars, stolen trophies hidden under bushes, and intense on-pitch drama, and eventually unite 6 billion people, what quiet belief are you carrying right now that could change your world? Thank you so much for exploring this unbelievable history with me today. Keep focusing, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.